Welcome back to Midnight Affair Tales. Thank you for joining us. The smell hit Nathan first. A faint trace of expensive cologne, one he didn't own, lingered in the air as he stepped into his home. His years of CIA training told him something was off before he could even process it fully. Instinct, awareness, assessment. These weren't just lessons from the field. They were hardwired into him. Setting his duffel bag down silently, he glanced around. Everything appeared normal at first: Lorraine's shoes neatly placed by the door, a half-empty wine glass on the kitchen counter. But then his eyes landed on a second glass. His breathing slowed. A sinking weight formed in his gut. Nathan had spent years deceiving enemies, outsmarting terrorists, breaking criminals into confession. Yet nothing prepared him for the sight that awaited him as he stepped toward the sliding glass doors leading to the backyard. Through the dim evening light he saw them. Lorraine, his wife, wrapped in the arms of another man. Nathan stood frozen, his pulse pounding in his ears. His wife's laughter, soft, intimate, cut deeper than any blade ever could. The man she was with? Vincent Holloway. He recognized him instantly, a defense contractor with a reputation for being dirty. A man Nathan had once investigated in the agency's off-books operations. But now Vince wasn't just some corrupt businessman. He was touching his wife, kissing her. Nathan's fingers curled into fists. Years of combat training screamed at him to act. But this wasn't a mission. This was personal. He forced himself to breathe, to control the storm raging inside him. Because deep down, his instincts whispered something far more sinister. This wasn't just an affair. This was a plot. But why? And more importantly, how far did it go? Nathan didn't confront them. Not yet. That wasn't how the game was played. He had spent his entire life studying human behavior, tracking targets, and dismantling terrorist cells. If Lorraine and Vince thought they could outsmart him, they had no idea who they were dealing with. The first step was observation, control, patience, precision. He installed a hidden surveillance camera in the living room, disguised within a picture frame. A small listening device under the nightstand. She wouldn't even know he was watching. That night, he lay in bed, pretending to be asleep as Lorraine texted beside him. The glow of her phone reflected in her eyes, her fingers moving quickly. He memorized the way her lips twitched into a faint smile. The way she hesitated before locking her phone and turning her back to him. She didn't know. But soon she would. Nathan sat in his darkened study, staring at the decrypted messages he had pulled from Lorraine's phone. His hands tightened around the edge of his desk. This wasn't just cheating. This was conspiracy. Lorraine had been planning this for months. Her messages with Vince revealed discussions of life insurance policies, legal documents, and, most chilling of all, making it look like an accident. They weren't just betraying him. They were planning to kill him. Nathan exhaled slowly. A cold, calculating rage settled in his chest. He wasn't just going to survive this. He was going to make them pay. The question was, how? And more importantly, how much did Lorraine truly know about the man she was conspiring with? Because Nathan knew something she didn't. Vincent Holloway wasn't just a businessman. He was a man with skeletons buried so deep, Lorraine had no idea what kind of monster she was lying next to. And Nathan? He was going to let them destroy themselves. Nathan wasn't a man of rash actions. The CIA trained him to think 5 steps ahead. He wasn't going to confront Lorraine with anger, shouting, or accusations. No. He was going to destroy her from the inside out. The first step, make them believe they were in control. Nathan continued his routine as if nothing had changed. He still kissed Lorraine before heading out for errands. Still asked about her day with the same ease. Still pretended not to notice the way her lies dripped from her lips like honey. But while Lorraine played house, Nathan worked. He hacked into her hidden bank account, one she thought was secret. $250,000 stashed away under an alias. He tracked Vince's business dealings. Illegal weapons trade, laundering, offshore accounts. He accessed her deleted messages, conversations where she planned not only his death, but how she'd enjoy the money once he was gone. Nathan sat in his office, staring at the data on his screen. His grip on the whiskey glass tightened. She was planning his murder. And she had no idea he was already planning hers. The hotel room was dimly lit, but the hidden camera Nathan placed in the ceiling vent captured everything. Lorraine, draped in silk, leaned over Vince with a smile that once belonged to Nathan. "We need to move forward," Lorraine whispered, sipping her wine. I'm tired of waiting. Vince smirked, his fingers tracing her wrist. Patience, love. We have to be careful. If something goes wrong. It won't, she interrupted, her voice firm. I have everything in place. I just need you to finish it. Nathan listened to the recording in his car, parked outside the hotel. His expression didn't change, but inside the fire burned hotter. Lorraine wanted him gone. She wanted him dead. But she underestimated who she was dealing with. Nathan glanced at his phone. Time for the first strike. He pressed a button. Their hotel room's bill just got forwarded to Vince's wife. Let the chaos begin. Lorraine came home late. Nathan sat at the dinner table, casually flipping through a newspaper, the smell of freshly brewed coffee in the air. She hesitated in the doorway, her body tense. You're up late. Nathan smiled, setting down the paper. Couldn't sleep. His gaze settled on her. Where were you? Lorraine stiffened for half a second, too fast for a normal person to notice. But Nathan wasn't normal. He was trained to detect lies before they were even spoken. She exhaled, forced a smile. Had some late meetings. You know how work is. Nathan nodded slowly. Of course. Then he pulled a chair out. Sit. Lorraine hesitated. She was starting to feel it. That creeping, nagging sensation. The doubt. The fear. Nathan leaned forward, clasping his hands. Do you ever feel like someone is watching you? Lorraine's smile faltered. What? Nathan tilted his head slightly, studying her reaction. Reading her. It's weird. Lately I've had this feeling. Like there's something off. Lorraine swallowed. Maybe you're overthinking. Nathan chuckled. Maybe. But in her eyes he saw it. Fear. And that was only the beginning. Nathan sat in his darkened office, the glow of his computer screen illuminating his face. His fingers moved swiftly across the keyboard, bypassing firewalls, accessing encrypted files, and pulling metadata that no ordinary man could find. The CIA had trained him to hunt ghosts. Lorraine and Vince thought they were invisible, but they had no idea that Nathan had spent years uncovering men far more dangerous than them. Tonight he wasn't just tracking an affair. He was looking for something bigger. A few keystrokes later there it was. A wire transfer. $500,000. Sent from an offshore account in Vince Holloway's name to a man named Luca Moretti. Nathan's breath stilled. Luca Moretti wasn't just any name. He was a known contract killer. A ghost in the underworld. The kind of man who never left loose ends. The kind of man Vince just hired. Nathan leaned back in his chair, heart pounding, though his face remained expressionless. They weren't just planning an accident. They were hiring a professional to make sure it happened. He reached for his whiskey, took a slow sip, and exhaled. All right, he murmured to himself. You want to play dirty? Let's play. Nathan wasn't just going to stop them. He was going to turn the hitman against them. Lorraine sat in front of her vanity mirror, carefully applying her makeup, but something felt off. A prickle ran down her spine like she was being watched. She shook it off, but the unease lingered. Last night Vince had been acting strange. Paranoid. His usual arrogant confidence had cracked. He kept checking his phone, looking over his shoulder, mumbling about keeping things quiet. Something was happening. Nathan had been too normal lately. That was what unsettled her the most. He hadn't questioned her late nights. Hadn't shown any signs of suspicion. But deep down Lorraine had a feeling. He knew. She just didn't know how much. She grabbed her phone, opened her messages, and typed to Vince. Lorraine, we need to talk. I think something's wrong. She hesitated, then erased it. If she showed weakness now, Vince would turn on her. He was a businessman first. If he thought she was a liability, he'd cut her loose. She forced a smile, stood, and smoothed her dress. Everything's fine, she whispered to herself. But it wasn't. And soon she would realize just how much danger she was truly in. The dinner table was set. Candles flickered, casting a warm glow over the dining room. Nathan poured a glass of wine for Lorraine, his expression unreadable. She glanced at him cautiously as she sat down. You're in a good mood tonight. Nathan smiled. Just appreciating what I have. He watched as she hesitated, then took a sip of her drink. He waited until her guard dropped just a little before leaning forward, resting his forearms on the table. I've been thinking a lot lately, he said, his voice steady. Lorraine swallowed. About what? Nathan exhaled, shaking his head slightly as if in deep thought. About what happens after I'm gone. Lorraine's hand froze on her wine glass. Nathan saw it. That half-second hesitation. The way her fingers gripped tighter. You're not going anywhere, she said with a forced laugh. Nathan smiled softly, eyes unreadable. I had some tests done a while back, he lied smoothly. Doctor says it doesn't look good. I didn't want to tell you until I was sure. Lorraine's face went pale. This wasn't part of the plan. Nathan continued, enjoying how her posture changed. They say I don't have much time. Maybe a few months. Silence. Lorraine opened her mouth, then closed it. He had her. She had spent months planning his murder, but now? Now she had to pretend to care. Lorraine reached for his hand, her grip unsteady. Nathan, It's okay, he interrupted gently. I just want to make sure you'll be okay after I'm gone. He watched the gears turn in her mind. If he was dying already, then why risk making it look like an accident? If she killed him now, people might get suspicious. Maybe she should wait it out instead. Lorraine squeezed his hand, putting on the performance of her life. We'll get through this together. Nathan smiled. Checkmate. Nathan sat in his car, watching from a distance as Lorraine met Vince at a private bar downtown. He had tapped Vince's phone, but tonight he needed to see their faces. He needed to watch their reactions. Lorraine arrived first, her posture stiff, her movements restless. Nathan could tell. She was shaken. Then came Vince. The man walked in with his usual arrogant swagger, but there was a stiffness to him too. He was wary. Suspicious. Nathan had made sure of that. From his earpiece, he heard Lorraine whisper harshly, "Something is wrong." Vince sighed, pouring himself a drink. "You're always worried. Calm down." "Calm down?" Lorraine snapped. "Nathan told me he's dying." Silence. Nathan smirked as he watched Vince's reaction through the bar window. He hadn't expected that. Vince set his glass down. "What?" "He's sick," Lorraine said, her voice lower now. "I was supposed to act surprised, but Vince, what if he knows? What if he's messing with us?" Nathan leaned back in his seat. She was finally thinking. Vince exhaled sharply. "He doesn't know. We've been careful. Stop overthinking." "Then why did someone almost run me off the road last night?" Lorraine demanded. Nathan smirked. That had been him. Just a little scare. A car tailing her too closely, headlights flashing before suddenly vanishing. Enough to plant paranoia in her mind. Vince's jaw tightened. "That wasn't me." Lorraine's face paled. Nathan turned off the audio feed. That was enough for tonight. He had what he wanted. Doubt. Now. He'd make them turn on each other. Nathan had spent years interrogating terrorists, breaking traitors, and uncovering weaknesses. Everyone had one. Even men like Vince Holloway. Especially men like him. Nathan sat at his desk, going through the files he had pulled from Vince's offshore accounts. Millions moved through different fake companies. Weapons deals. Illegal trades. Then he found it. A separate account. One Lorraine didn't know about. A hidden sum of $2.8 million. Kept under a shell corporation, registered under the name of Anna Holloway. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Anna Holloway. Vince's wife. Lorraine thought she was special. She had no idea Vince was playing her too. Nathan cracked his knuckles, then made his next move. A simple email. Sent from an untraceable source. To Anna Holloway. Subject: Your husband's mistress and his secret accounts. Nathan leaned back in his chair. The match had been lit. Now he just had to sit back and watch everything burn. Nathan stood at the edge of an abandoned airstrip outside of town. A black SUV approached from the distance, kicking up dust as it slowed to a stop in front of him. The driver's door opened. A tall man stepped out, dressed in all black, his presence just as intimidating as it had been years ago. Silas Kane. XI. A man who had once been Nathan's closest ally in the field. A ghost in the intelligence world. Silas smirked. Didn't think I'd ever hear from you again. Nathan kept his expression neutral. I need a favor. Silas crossed his arms. Does it involve blood? Nathan didn't blink. It might. Silas let out a slow whistle. Must be personal. Nathan exhaled, his jaw tightening. It is. Silas studied him for a moment before nodding. All right. Tell me who needs to disappear. Nathan smirked. Not yet. First, we make them suffer. Silas chuckled. I always did like your style. Nathan handed him a file. Inside is everything you need to know about Vincent Holloway and Lorraine Cole. I need you to make their lives difficult. Silas opened the file, his expression darkening as he flipped through the pages. Damn. You sure know how to pick your enemies. Nathan's voice was cold. They picked me first. Silas looked up, grinning. All right, Cole. Let's ruin their lives. Nathan turned away, the night air cold against his skin. This was only the beginning. Lorraine's phone buzzed as she stepped out of the shower. She grabbed it, dripping water onto the floor, and swiped the screen. Unknown sender. You should check your husband's bank accounts. You're not his only woman. Her breath caught. What the hell was this? She frowned, gripping her towel tighter as she quickly logged into the account Vince had set up for her. The balance was unchanged. No missing money. No sudden movements. But something inside her stirred, a deep, clawing suspicion. Her heart pounded as she switched apps, searching through Vince's personal transactions. And then she found it. A transfer. A transfer of $2.8 million. To a name she had never seen before. Anna Holloway. Her fingers went cold. Lorraine felt the floor beneath her shift, like the very foundation of her world had cracked. Vince was playing her. She dropped the phone onto the counter, staring at her own reflection in the fogged-up mirror. Had she been a pawn this whole time? Had Vince used her to get rid of Nathan just so he could take his money and disappear with someone else? A deep, burning rage twisted inside her. No, she wouldn't let this happen. She had spent too long building this. Too long planning Nathan's demise. She wouldn't let Vince double-cross her. Lorraine grabbed her phone and dialed Vince. He picked up after the second ring. What? He answered, irritated. Lorraine's nails dug into the counter. You better not be lying to me, Vince. Silence. A dangerous silence. She heard a sharp inhale. What are you talking about? Lorraine clenched her teeth. Who the hell is Anna Holloway? Nathan sat in his car, listening to the call through the bug he had placed in Lorraine's phone. The storm was building. He could hear the venom in Lorraine's voice. The way her paranoia was eating at her. She was unraveling faster than he had anticipated. Good. Vince sighed through the speaker. You're overreacting, Lorraine. She's nobody. Nobody? Lorraine spat. $2.8 million says otherwise. Nathan smirked. Vince exhaled heavily. It's business. You don't understand how these things work. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid, Vince, Lorraine snapped. I know what this is. You're using me. I was just a tool to get Nathan out of the picture, wasn't I? Nathan leaned back, gripping the steering wheel tightly. This was it. Vince was losing control. Lorraine was pushing him and he was cracking under the pressure. I swear it's not what you think, Vince tried again. I care about you, Lorraine. But Nathan heard the hesitation in his voice. And so did Lorraine. A bitter laugh escaped her lips. You're a liar, Vince. And if I find out you've been playing me this whole time? She let the threat hang in the air. Vince scoffed. Or what, Lorraine? What the hell are you gonna do? Silence. Nathan could feel it, the shift in Lorraine's mind. She wasn't just a cheater anymore. Now she was a woman scorned. And that made her dangerous. But not to him. Nathan smirked. She was about to turn against the man she trusted the most. And he had just set the stage for their downfall. Vince paced in his penthouse, running a hand through his hair. He was losing control. First, Lorraine's paranoia. Then the anonymous email about his offshore accounts. Now, the hitman he had hired, Luca Moretti, was suddenly off the radar. Nathan had been busy, tying up Vince's loose ends before Vince even realized they were slipping. A knock at the door. Vince turned sharply, his nerves on edge. He grabbed the pistol from his drawer and tucked it behind his back before opening the door. Lorraine stood there, arms crossed, her face unreadable. Vince exhaled. What do you want? Lorraine pushed past him, walking into the room. I'm giving you one chance to tell me the truth. Vince shut the door and locked it. About what? She turned, her glare cold. About Anna. About the money. About whether you were planning to screw me over this entire time. Vince sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Jesus, Lorraine. You're getting worked up over nothing. Don't lie to me, Vince, she shouted, stepping closer, her breath ragged. I've spent months planning Nathan's death for us. For us. And now I find out you've been hiding money under your wife's name? Vince's jaw tightened. Lorraine's eyes narrowed. What was the plan? Kill Nathan, take his money, and then, what? Disappear with your wife? Vince stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a decision. His expression shifted. Cold. Calculating. Dangerous. You don't have to worry about Nathan anymore, he said, his voice quieter now. Lorraine frowned. What? Vince pulled out his phone, scrolled through his messages, and then turned the screen toward her. A single message. Sent an hour ago. To Luca Moretti. Confirmed. Make the hit tomorrow. No loose ends. Lorraine stared at the message. Vince smiled. It's already done. Lorraine inhaled sharply. A chill ran down her spine. Vince stepped closer, his voice low. And if you play nice, Lorraine, maybe I'll cut you in on the deal. Lorraine swallowed hard. Nathan leaned back in his car, listening to every word through his hidden audio feed. A slow smile spread across his lips. They thought they were in control. But the Real Hunter was already watching. Nathan didn't flinch as he replayed the audio recording of Vince's final words. It's already done. The words echoed in his mind, but he wasn't afraid. Fear was a useless emotion. He had spent decades eliminating it. What he felt now was something else entirely. Controlled, sharpened, ice-cold rage. They thought they could take him out like a civilian. Like some clueless husband who wouldn't see the knife coming. But they were making one fatal mistake. They were trying to kill a man who had spent his life hunting men like them. Nathan stood from his chair, stretching his arms before grabbing his phone. It was time to flip the script. He dialed a number, one only a handful of people in the world had access to. Silas Kane picked up on the first ring. This better be good, Cole. Nathan smirked. It is. You still have contacts in the underworld? Silas laughed. You know I do. Why? Nathan stared out the window, watching the city lights. I need you to send a message to a man named Luca Moretti. Tell him the hit on me is cancelled. But don't stop there. Tell him his new target is the man who hired him. Silas was silent for a moment. Then he chuckled. Damn, Cole. That's cold. Nathan smirked. It's justice. Silas sighed. All right, I'll make the call. Anything else? Yeah, Nathan said, his voice darker now. Make sure Vince knows he's being hunted before it happens. I want him scared. Silas chuckled again. Oh, I like this game. Nathan ended the call. Checkmate. Vince was pouring himself a glass of bourbon when his phone buzzed. He sighed, grabbing it off the table. Unknown number. Frowning, he answered. Who is this? Silence. Then a voice, low and dangerous. You should be careful who you put contracts on, Holloway. Vince's heart stopped. His fingers clenched around the glass. What the hell is this? The voice continued, unbothered. The hit you placed on Nathan Cole? It's off. Vince's blood ran cold. Before he could speak, the voice added, and guess what? Luca Moretti doesn't like being double-crossed. A chilling pause. Then. He's coming for you instead. The line went dead. Vince stared at his phone, a slow dread creeping up his spine. This was impossible. Moretti was reliable. Untraceable. And yet, somehow, someone had flipped him. His hands shook as he set the glass down. He needed to think. He needed to act fast. He turned to grab his gun, but the lights in his penthouse flickered. His breath hitched. He wasn't alone. Slowly, carefully, he reached for his pistol, turning toward the darkness. A whisper of movement behind him. Then, a shadow darted past. A heartbeat of silence. Then, the cold, mechanical sound of a suppressed gun being cocked. Vince whirled around, gun raised, but there was no one there. Just darkness. And a whisper, his own voice, playing from a hidden speaker. It's already done. Vince stumbled back, his own words mocking him from the void. His heart pounded. Who the hell was doing this? And then a quiet chuckle. Nathan's chuckle. Vince's breath stopped. No, this wasn't possible. But deep down he knew. He wasn't the hunter anymore. He was the prey. Lorraine's phone rang just as she was getting into bed. She sighed, irritated, before glancing at the screen. Vince. She frowned. It was past midnight. What the hell did he want now? With an annoyed grunt, she answered. What? Vince's voice was frantic. Lorraine. Listen to me. Something's wrong. She sat up, suddenly alert. What are you talking about? Vince's breathing was ragged. Nathan. He knows. He's screwing with me. Lorraine blinked. No. No, that wasn't possible. Nathan had been acting perfectly normal. Too normal. Her pulse quickened. How do you know? Vince's voice was sharp. Because the hit's been flipped. Luca is coming for me instead. Lorraine's breath hitched. No. That wasn't how this was supposed to go. Nathan was supposed to be the victim. Vince growled. I need you to pick a side, Lorraine. Either you help me or I swear to God. A loud crash interrupted him. Lorraine flinched. Vince. Silence. Then gunshots. Lorraine's heart leapt into her throat. Vince? Vince? Nothing. Then a voice. Come. Controlled. Dangerous. Nathan's voice. Hello, Lorraine. Her blood turned to ice. The line went dead. She sat there, frozen, the phone slipping from her fingers. Nathan knew. And now he was coming for her. Pause right here, amazing listeners. Did you know? Only 10% of people who enjoy these stories actually subscribe. I pour my heart into bringing you incredible stories every single day, and this month I have a big goal, 2,000 subscribers. And trust me, we are too close for it. So, if you love these stories, smash that subscribe button right now and be part of this journey. Also, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. Alright, let's dive back into the story. Vince Holloway ran. His breath came in sharp, uneven gasps as he sprinted down a dark alleyway, his polished shoes slipping against the wet pavement. The city lights flickered in the distance, but he didn't stop to admire the view. Because he wasn't alone. Nathan had turned the game against him. The predator had become the prey. Vince could feel it, the presence of someone watching, stalking. His phone rang in his pocket, vibrating against his palm as he skidded into a dimly lit parking garage. He pressed himself against a cold concrete wall, hands shaking as he answered. Lorraine, he breathed, his voice desperate. Where the hell are you? She snapped. I haven't heard from you in hours. What is happening? Vince swallowed hard, peering around the corner. Nathan. He's screwing with me. He flipped Moretti. The hit's off and now I'm the target. Lorraine inhaled sharply. Where are you? She asked, her voice quieter now. Vince's pulse pounded. I don't know, I had to ditch my car. I think someone's following me. Lorraine hesitated. You're being paranoid. Maybe we should. A noise behind him. A footstep. Vince's heart stopped. He turned sharply, nothing. Just the sound of a slow, deliberate breath coming from the shadows. Then a whisper. His own voice. It's already done. His grip tightened around the phone. Nathan. Lorraine, he whispered. If I don't make it out of this. A loud snap. The lights in the parking garage flickered, and then everything went dark. Vince barely had time to scream. Lorraine gripped her phone so tightly her nails dug into her palm. Vince, she demanded. Silence. Then the call cut off. Her stomach twisted in a way she had never felt before. Panic. Real panic. Something had gone wrong. Nathan. Lorraine bolted from her chair, knocking over her wine glass. She grabbed her coat and car keys, her mind racing. She had to get out. She reached the door and stopped. Because Nathan was already there. Standing in the dim glow of the porch light, his dark jacket dusted with rain. His eyes locked on hers. He knew. She didn't have time to think. Didn't have time to run. Nathan stepped inside before she could close the door, his movements controlled, methodical, like a predator who had already won. Lorraine's breath caught. Nathan. He raised a hand, silencing her. A phone in his palm. Vince's phone. Lorraine's heart stopped. Nathan tossed the phone onto the table. He won't be calling you anymore. Her knees nearly buckled. You. Nathan stepped closer. Sit. She shook her head, stepping back. No. He grabbed her wrist, firm but not brutal, and forced her into the chair. He crouched in front of her, his face calm. Cold. Calculated. Tell me, Lorraine, he murmured, tilting his head slightly. Did you ever think about how this would end? Lorraine's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Because for the first time she realized she had already lost. Lorraine was trapped. Her hands trembled as she stared at Nathan, who looked as calm as ever. As if this was just another evening. But the danger in his eyes told her otherwise. Nathan, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Whatever you think I did. Stop, he interrupted, leaning back slightly. We're past the part where you lie to me. Her stomach twisted. Nathan clasped his hands together, studying her. Vince is gone. Moretti won't be coming for me. Lorraine swallowed. Nathan smiled. That means I have you all to myself now. Her breathing turned shallow. He leaned in slightly, voice softer. Deadlier. I want you to think about something, Lorraine, he said. All those nights, all those lies, did you ever stop to think what would happen if I found out? Lorraine's pulse pounded in her skull. Nathan's smile didn't reach his eyes. Of course not. Because you thought I was weak. You thought I was just some husband you could manipulate. Lorraine's lips parted, but she had no words. Nathan stood slowly, his movements deliberate. Now we're going to play a new game. Lorraine gripped the edges of the chair. Nathan. He held up a hand. You're going to run. Her breath hitched. What? She whispered. Nathan tilted his head. You like playing with people, don't you? Playing with their lives. Lorraine felt the air leave her lungs. Nathan reached into his pocket. Pulled out a small earpiece. He held it up. This is connected to a burner phone. He placed it on the table. You'll take it with you. And then you'll run. Lorraine's body locked in terror. Nathan's voice was calm. Absolute. Unforgiving. Let's see if you can survive me, Lorraine. Vince Holloway wasn't dead. Not yet. He woke to the scent of motor oil and rust, his head throbbing like someone had used it for batting practice. His wrists were bound tight to a chair, and when he tried to move, a sharp pain shot through his ribs. Broken. The dim glow of a single light bulb flickered above him. A warehouse. A basement? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. He was completely, utterly screwed. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Not rushed. Vince swallowed, blinking through the haze of pain as a shadow stepped into the light. Nathan. He knew it before he even saw his face. The way he moved. The way the air around him felt suffocating. Nathan crouched in front of him, resting his elbows on his knees. Calm. Collected. Not a single ounce of hesitation in his eyes. You look like shit, Vince, Nathan murmured. Vince's breath hitched, but he forced a smirk through the pain. You think this scares me? Nathan tilted his head slightly. No. Not yet. Vince's smirk faltered. Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone. Vince's phone. Moretti's dead, Nathan said, scrolling through messages. You really should have picked someone better. Vince's heartbeat slowed. No. That's not possible. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You think I don't know how to erase problems? Vince jerked against the ropes. You son of a... Nathan grabbed him by the jaw, forcing him to look up. This isn't the part where you fight, Vince, Nathan whispered. This is the part where you beg. Vince's body turned cold. And for the first time in years he knew what real fear felt like. Lorraine had never been truly afraid before. She had always been the one in control. The one pulling the strings. The one who laughed while Nathan stayed clueless. But now, Nathan had flipped the entire board. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she sat in her car, parked outside an empty highway rest stop. The phone Nathan had given her lay in the passenger seat. She hadn't touched it. Hadn't dared. Then it rang. Lorraine's entire body locked up. She didn't want to answer. Didn't want to hear his voice. But she knew she had no choice. Hands trembling, she grabbed the phone and pressed it to her ear. Silence. Then Nathan's voice. You're late. Lorraine swallowed. Nathan, please. We don't have to do this. A soft chuckle. Not amused. Not angry. Just empty. Oh, Lorraine, he murmured. We already are. Tears burned in her eyes. Nathan, I don't want your excuses. His voice was sharper now. Colder. You have one option. Run. Lorraine squeezed the wheel, knuckles turning white. What happens if I don't? Pause. Then a whisper, deadly and final. Then I'll find you. And when I do, Lorraine, it won't be fast. A sharp inhale. She believed him. She believed every single word. She slammed her foot on the gas, speeding into the night. But deep down she knew. She could run. She could hide. But she would never escape him. Nathan watched the scene unfold from a rooftop, his dark jacket fluttering in the wind. The FBI had arrived. Squad cars. Agents. All swarming Vince's luxury penthouse. Nathan had sent them everything. The illegal arms deals. The offshore accounts. The bribery records. The final nail in Vince Holloway's coffin. Nathan tilted his head, watching as Vince, bloodied, shaking, desperate, was dragged out in cuffs. His face twisted in rage, but his eyes met Nathan's. Nathan smirked. Vince knew. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't luck. Nathan had done this. And Vince would rot in a cell for the rest of his life. Nathan turned away, pulling his phone from his pocket. He had one last call to make. Lorraine. She answered on the first ring. Panting. Crying. Nathan, please? You're out of time, he murmured. A sob on the other end. Nathan, I loved you. I swear I. A quiet chuckle. Colder than the winter wind. Goodbye, Lorraine. The call ended. Nathan exhaled, slipping the phone back into his coat. Vince was finished. Lorraine? She had one last thing coming. One last move before the game ended for good. And Nathan Cole never left a mission unfinished. Lorraine Cole had never felt true powerlessness before. She had always been in control, manipulating, scheming, turning people against each other. But now, she had no power left. She had nothing. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through the news on her burner phone. Breaking, defense contractor Vincent Holloway arrested in FBI sting, facing multiple federal charges. Her vision blurred. Nathan did this. He destroyed Vince. Her heart pounded as she skimmed the article. They had seized all of Vince's assets. Frozen accounts. Warrants were issued for his associates. Which meant Lorraine was next. Her breath hitched. No, she wouldn't let this happen. She grabbed her purse, her hands shaking as she fumbled through it, her last stash of cash. Barely 10 grand. She needed to disappear. Lorraine stumbled toward the dingy motel bathroom, splashing water on her face, staring at her reflection. Her once pristine makeup was smudged. Her hair was a mess. She looked like a woman on the edge. Because she was. A knock at the door. She froze. Heart hammering. Slowly she crept to the window, peeking outside. A man stood by her car. Dark hoodie. Hands in his pockets. She couldn't see his face. But she knew. Nathan. He had found her. Lorraine backed away from the window, her hands trembling. Her mind screamed run. She bolted to the door, fingers fumbling with the chain lock, but before she could move, a voice. Right behind her. You've always been predictable, Lorraine. She whipped around. Nathan stood in the dim motel room. Come. Cold. Unshaken. Lorraine's pulse stopped. How? Her throat tightened. How did you get in? Nathan tilted his head slightly. Locks don't stop me. You should know that by now. She shook her head. Please, Nathan, He took a step forward. She took a step back. You planned to kill me, Nathan murmured, his voice almost thoughtful. You laughed while you did it. Made jokes about how it would be easy. Lorraine's lip quivered. You stole years from me, Nathan continued, his voice sharpening. Made me believe in a lie. Tears burned in her eyes. I was scared. Nathan let out a quiet, humorless chuckle. No, you weren't. You were greedy. Lorraine's back hit the wall. Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black envelope. She blinked. What is that? Nathan tossed it at her feet. Inside is everything you've ever done, he said smoothly. Every scam. Every lie. Every betrayal. Lorraine stared at the envelope like it was a ticking bomb. Nathan's voice turned colder. The FBI will get it in 24 hours. You won't just be arrested, Lorraine. You'll be humiliated. Ruined. Her chest rose and fell sharply. No, you can't. Nathan stepped forward again, leaning down. Their faces inches apart. Or, he whispered, you can take the easy way out. Lorraine's breath hitched. Nathan pulled out a gun, placed it on the nightstand. The barrel pointed toward her. Her body went ice cold. He wasn't threatening her. He was giving her a choice. Her knees buckled. She had nowhere to go. Nathan straightened. Adjusted his jacket. I'll leave you to it, he said. One way or another, this ends tonight. Then he walked out. Lorraine was left alone. With nothing but her guilt. And a gun. Nathan didn't look back. He stepped into the night, his footsteps slow, unhurried. The mission was complete. There was nothing left to say. The weight in his chest wasn't anger anymore. It was peace. For years Lorraine had deceived him. Betrayed him. Tried to have him killed. And now she had to live with herself. Or not. Nathan barely made it to his car when, bang, the gunshot echoed in the night. Nathan closed his eyes, exhaled. He didn't need to go back inside. He already knew. Lorraine had made her choice. She had always been a coward. A selfish, heartless coward. And now it was over. Nathan opened his car door, slid inside and started the engine. No hesitation. No second thoughts. He drove away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Because Lorraine Cole was gone. And so was the weight she had once placed on his life. Nathan Cole had won. And for the first time in years, he was finally free. Nathan didn't return home right away. Home wasn't home anymore. Not after everything that had happened. Instead he drove. Kept moving. Let the cool night air slip through the cracked window as he traced the empty roads leading out of the city. One final job. He parked in a secluded lot near the docks, stepping out into the dim glow of the streetlights. A black SUV was waiting, Silas Kane standing beside it. Nathan approached, hands in his coat pockets. Silas smirked. "You look like a man who just won a war." Nathan exhaled. "Feels like it." Silas tossed a cigarette on the pavement, crushing it beneath his boot. "So, Lorraine?" Nathan met his gaze, voice steady. "Gone." Silas studied him for a moment, then nodded. No questions. No pity. Just understanding. He gestured toward the SUV. "You wanted this cleaned up, right?" Nathan leaned against the vehicle, glancing at the reinforced crates in the trunk. Files. Evidence. The last traces of Lorraine and Vince's crimes. Everything was ready to disappear. Silas clapped a hand on his shoulder. "I'll handle it. You're officially off the grid, Cole." Nathan stared at the city skyline in the distance. He should feel relief. Should feel lighter. And yet, something still lingered. A ghost of a life that had once been his. Silas watched him carefully. "You good?" Nathan inhaled deeply. And then, for the first time in months, he nodded. "I'm good." He turned, walking back to his car. Never looking back. Nathan sat in the dark of his apartment, staring at the glass of whiskey on the table. The weight of everything finally settled. Lorraine was gone. Vince was rotting in a cell. But the scars? They remained. He had spent months planning their downfall. Every move, every calculated step. He had been driven by revenge, fueled by the betrayal that had nearly destroyed him. And now, with nothing left to fight, what was he supposed to do? His phone buzzed. He hesitated before checking the screen. Unknown number. Nathan's jaw tightened. He let it ring twice more before finally answering. "Cole." Pause. Then a woman's voice. "You don't know me, but I knew Lorraine." Nathan's fingers curled into a fist. "Who is this?" A quiet breath on the other end. Then, "I think she's done this before." Nathan went still. The voice continued, hesitant. "My sister, she was with Lorraine years ago. She had a husband. He died in an accident. But something never felt right." Nathan's grip on the phone tightened. His heart pounded. Had Lorraine been doing this for years? Had he just been another name on her list? The woman spoke again. "I can tell you everything. But I need to know, how did she really die?" Nathan's throat went dry. He closed his eyes. Took a slow breath. And then for the first time he lied. "She took her own way out," he said, voice calm. "It's over now." Silence. Then the woman whispered, "Then I guess, thank you." The call ended. Nathan set the phone down, his pulse still unsteady. He stared at his reflection in the darkened window. Had Lorraine been worse than he ever imagined? Had he even known the real her at all? And if he had uncovered the truth earlier, could he have saved them all? Nathan stood on the edge of a quiet pier, the ocean stretching into the night. The weight in his chest had changed. Not regret. Not guilt. Just emptiness. The kind of feeling that comes after war. The kind of feeling a man gets when he's won, but lost something in the process. He reached into his pocket, pulling out his wedding ring. The last piece of a life that was never real. He held it in his palm for a moment. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he tossed it into the dark waters below. Nathan Cole had spent his entire life hunting ghosts. Now he had become one. And as he turned away, stepping into the night, he disappeared. Because some men aren't meant to be found. Nathan Cole was officially off the grid. No records. No digital footprint. No trace of the man who once existed. But the past doesn't let go so easily. He sat in a small diner outside of Phoenix, Arizona, nursing a black coffee, his face hidden beneath a cap. Just another nameless drifter. Until a familiar name drifted through the static of the radio behind the counter. Authorities have reopened several cold cases connected to the late Lorraine Cole, after new evidence suggests she may have been involved in multiple deaths over the last decade. Nathan froze. His fingers curled around the coffee cup. So it was true. Lorraine had been a predator long before she found him. He should have felt relief that she was gone, that justice had found her. But all he felt was an eerie, lingering unease. Because if Lorraine had done this before, who else had helped her? A voice cut through his thoughts. You're a hard man to track, Cole. Nathan didn't flinch, didn't react, just took a slow sip of his coffee. Then, without looking up, he said, "Depends on who's looking." The man slid into the seat across from him. FBI Special Agent Daniel Rourke. Nathan finally lifted his eyes. That's a bold move. Rourke smirked. I figured I had one shot before you disappeared again. He folded his hands on the table. We know what you did, Cole. Nathan's jaw tightened. No, he repeated. Or assume. Rourke chuckled. We've got dots. Just not a straight line connecting them. His expression darkened. But what I want to know is, did she suffer? Nathan held his gaze. Didn't blink. More than you'll ever know. Rourke exhaled, leaning back. Then I guess we have nothing else to talk about. Nathan studied him. You came all this way for that? Rourke shrugged. Some people deserved what they got, Cole. But if you ever resurface in my jurisdiction, he tapped the table twice. I'll make sure you don't get a second ghost act. Nathan smirked. I'll keep that in mind. The agent stood, tossing a few bills onto the table before walking out. Nathan waited until the door closed behind him. Then, with one last sip of coffee, he vanished out the back door. A ghost once again. Nathan didn't like loose ends. Lorraine's past had left too many. He needed one last answer before he could truly walk away. And he knew exactly where to find it. A small, suburban neighborhood in Atlanta. Nathan parked a block away, blending into the evening shadows. One final stop. He rang the doorbell. It took a few seconds, but then, a woman answered. She looked startled. Nervous. But she knew exactly who he was. You're him? She whispered. Nathan nodded once. You said your sister was involved with Lorraine. The woman swallowed, stepping aside. Inside, Nathan saw a table covered in old photos and files. Names. Faces. Other men Lorraine had ruined. His stomach tightened. This wasn't a one-time betrayal. This was a pattern. A hunting ground. She knew exactly how to pick them, the woman murmured. Men with power. Money. She'd get inside their heads, make them fall for her, and then... Nathan's fists tightened. And then she'd kill them. The woman nodded. Or make it look like an accident. She never did it alone, though. Nathan's blood went cold. There was someone else. Another player in Lorraine's game. Nathan took a slow breath, nodding. Thank you, he said. The woman hesitated. Are you going to find them? Nathan didn't answer. He didn't need to. He was already walking out the door. Nathan drove through the night, his mind a storm of cold calculations. Someone had been pulling the strings behind Lorraine. And that someone had almost killed him. His search led him back to a familiar name. Vincent Holloway's lawyer. A man who had handled every financial transaction, every cover-up, every legal loophole Lorraine had used for years. Marcus Ellison. Nathan parked outside his gated estate. Took a deep breath. Then, without hesitation, he stepped forward and entered the lion's den. Ellison was waiting. Seated behind an oak desk, expensive whiskey in his hand. Come. Arrogant. I was wondering when you'd find me, Ellison said smoothly. Nathan locked eyes with him. How long? Ellison smirked. Longer than you'd like to believe. He leaned back. You were just the latest chapter, Cole. Lorraine wasn't the mastermind. She was a tool. A weapon I sharpened over the years. Nathan's heart pounded once. Everything clicked into place. Lorraine was just another soldier in a bigger war. And Marcus Ellison? He was the general. Nathan stepped forward, his voice like steel. Then let's end this properly. Ellison swirled his drink, completely unfazed. Oh, Cole, he smirked. You have no idea what game you just stepped into. The final war had just begun. Nathan didn't move. Didn't blink. Marcus Ellison sat comfortably behind his polished oak desk, sipping his whiskey, exuding the confidence of a man who had never faced real consequences. "You look disappointed," Ellison mused, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "Were you expecting some cliché villain speech? A confession?" Nathan's jaw tightened. He didn't need a confession. He already knew. Marcus had been the one pulling Lorraine's strings. She had been a tool, a sharp blade in his hand. A woman built for deception and destruction, unleashed on men like Nathan. Lorraine thought she was in control, Nathan murmured. But she was just another pawn. Ellison chuckled. "I prefer the term investment." He took a slow sip of his drink. "Smart men like you don't fall for the usual tricks. You need something special. A woman who understands power. Who knows exactly what buttons to press." Nathan's hands clenched into fists. Ellison smirked. "Lorraine was my masterpiece. She played the part perfectly, didn't she?" Nathan took a step closer, voice dangerously low. "She's dead." Ellison exhaled dramatically, shaking his head. "A shame really. But necessary, I suppose. She got sloppy. Emotional. That's why you survived." He smirked again. "I won't make the same mistake." Nathan felt it then. The shift in the air. The trap. He didn't turn his head, but he knew. There were others in the room. He wasn't alone. Ellison smiled, sensing his realization. "You didn't really think I'd meet you alone, did you?" Nathan exhaled slowly. The real game had just begun. Nathan let his hands relax at his sides. Not in surrender, but in preparation. Ellison leaned back, amused. "You're outnumbered, Cole." Nathan finally glanced sideways. Two men, hired professionals, judging by the way they held their guns. Amateurs would have rushed him. These men were patient, trained, deadly. Ellison poured himself another drink. "You have two options really. You can sit down, have a drink, and we can talk like civilized men." He lifted the bottle. "Or, my associates here can put a bullet in your head and I'll take care of the cleanup. Your choice." Nathan smirked. "You always give dead men choices?" Ellison chuckled. "Only the interesting ones." Nathan took a slow breath. Measured. Calculated. Then he moved. Fast. He grabbed the first man's wrist, twisting it hard, a sharp crack as the bones snapped. The gun clattered to the floor. Nathan used the momentum, driving an elbow into the second man's throat before he could react. The room exploded into chaos. Ellison lunged for the gun on his desk, but Nathan was faster. He slammed Ellison's wrist down onto the table, hard. The gun skidded away. Ellison gasped, eyes wide, no longer the composed mastermind. Now he was just a man who had lost control. Nathan grabbed him by the collar, slamming him against the desk. "You think you're untouchable?" Nathan hissed. Ellison choked on a laugh. "I know I am." Nathan tightened his grip. "Not anymore." Ellison's smirk didn't fade. "Even if you kill me, Cole, you won't win." His lips curled. "You don't understand the kind of men I work with." Nathan leaned in, voice quiet. "Deadly. Then I'll burn them all." Ellison's smirk finally slipped. Nathan let go of him roughly, stepping back. Ellison coughed, rubbing his throat. "You can't erase men like me, Cole." Nathan smirked. "I already have." A sudden vibration from Ellison's desk. Nathan glanced down, his laptop screen flashing with an urgent message. "Security breach, all files transmitting." Ellison's eyes widened. The color drained from his face. "What did you do?" he whispered. Nathan tilted his head. "You really think I'd come here without a plan?" Ellison's breath turned ragged. "No. No, you don't understand." Nathan's smirk deepened. "I understand perfectly." Ellison lunged for the laptop, but it was too late. The files had already been sent. Every dirty deal. Every cover-up. All of it. To every major federal agency in the country. Ellison staggered back. His empire, gone. Nathan turned toward the door, not bothering to look back. Ellison screamed after him. "Cole, you can't just walk away from this." Nathan didn't slow. Didn't speak. Because for the first time in years, he didn't need revenge anymore. He had already won. The city was alive around him as he stepped into the cold air. Ellison's world was collapsing behind him. Nathan didn't stop to watch. Didn't need to. He had made his choice. No more looking back. No more chasing ghosts. He slid into the driver's seat of his car, hands steady on the wheel. For the first time in a long time, there was no weight on his chest. No anger. No rage. Just freedom. He took one last look at the city skyline in his rearview mirror. Then he drove. And Nathan Cole disappeared into the night. I hope you all have subscribed by now. Don't forget to leave your lovely and positive comments. Let me know where you're listening from and which part of the story you enjoyed the most. Looking forward to your feedback. Nathan drove. No destination. No past. Just miles of open road. He had spent years being someone else. Husband, soldier, operative, victim, hunter. Now, he was no one. A ghost. He had destroyed everything that tried to destroy him. Vince was rotting in a prison cell. Ellison's empire was crumbling. Lorraine? She had chosen her own fate. There was nothing left to fight. So why did he still feel like he was being hunted? His fingers tightened on the wheel as he passed a quiet town on the outskirts of nowhere. A gas station, a few diners, houses with porch lights flickering in the night. Something he hadn't felt in years. Nathan pulled into an empty lot, shutting off the engine. He sat in silence, listening to the wind, the faint hum of crickets. Could he stay here? Could he just stop? A quiet life. A new identity. No more ghosts. His breath slowed. Maybe the war was finally over. Then his burner phone vibrated. Nathan's heart stilled. No one had this number. He reached for it, hesitated, then answered. Silence. Then, a voice he wasn't expecting. Marcus Ellison. Nathan's grip tightened. You should be worrying about your own problems. Ellison laughed. But it wasn't anger. It wasn't desperation. It was something else. You really think this is over, Cole? Ellison whispered. You think you just burned me to the ground and walked away? Nathan's pulse slowed. That was the idea. Ellison hummed. Tell me, Cole, what happens when you kill a snake but leave the nest? Nathan's body locked. Ellison chuckled. You didn't destroy me. You pissed off people bigger than me. And now they know your name. Nathan's breath was steady. Cole. Calculating. Ellison's voice dropped lower. Hungrier. You're not free, Cole. You just started a bigger war. Click. The call ended. Nathan sat in the darkness, staring at the phone. And for the first time in a long time, he knew it wasn't over. Nathan didn't sleep that night. He didn't stop moving. Instead, he found a secure laptop and encrypted server and started digging. He knew Ellison wasn't lying. Knew this wasn't just some last-minute bluff. Because men like Marcus Ellison? They didn't beg for mercy. They played a long game. Nathan's fingers moved swiftly over the keys, searching through the cracks of the dark web, scanning old records, pulling financial trails. And then he found it. A company. A hidden conglomerate. One that had been funding Ellison's operations for decades. They weren't just criminals. They were powerful. Untouchable. Politicians. CEOs. Shadow brokers. And Nathan? He had just pissed them off. His chest tightened. This was bigger than Lorraine. Bigger than Ellison. This was a machine. And now, that machine was turning its attention toward him. Nathan exhaled slowly, calm. He should disappear. He should leave this alone. But deep down he knew he wouldn't. Because men like him? They didn't run. They hunted. Nathan closed the laptop. He had his answer. He wasn't free. He would never be free. Ellison's people would come for him. Eventually. So, the only logical move? Strike first. Nathan grabbed his gun, checked the magazine, and tucked it into his holster. Then he picked up the phone and dialed one last number. Silas Kane picked up immediately. I was wondering when you'd call. Nathan exhaled. I need information. Silas chuckled. I bet you do. Pause. You planning to run? Nathan's grip tightened. No, he said simply. I'm planning to end this. Silas hummed approvingly. Damn. I knew retirement wouldn't suit you. Nathan smirked. Retirement's boring. Silas let out a low whistle. All right. Tell me what you need. Nathan grabbed his bag, walked out of the motel, and stepped into the night. His war wasn't over. It was just beginning. Nathan never believed in luck. He believed in strategy, planning, control. And right now, he was done playing defense. The men coming for him weren't just criminals. They were power. Untouchable. Invisible. A machine that had been running for decades, maybe longer. Ellison was just a pawn in their game. But Nathan? He was something they didn't expect. A ghost with no past, no identity, no weaknesses. He sat in a rented car, parked outside an exclusive high-rise in D.C. Inside, a man named Oliver Tate was having dinner. A senator, a billionaire, a fixer, and a major piece in the organization that wanted Nathan dead. Nathan checked his watch. 9:37 p.m. Then he made the call. Tate's phone rang inside the restaurant. The senator barely looked at it before answering. "Who is this?" Nathan leaned back against the headrest, eyes scanning the windows above. "The man you should have left alone." Silence. Then the slightest shift in Tate's breathing. "Cole," he said, voice suddenly alert. "You're making a mistake." Nathan smirked. "So did Lorraine. So did Ellison. You want to end up like them?" A long pause. Then Tate chuckled. "Oh, Nathan," he murmured. "You still think this is about revenge?" Nathan's eyes narrowed. Tate exhaled. "You don't even know why we chose you, do you?" Nathan's grip on the steering wheel tightened. And just like that, he realized something. This wasn't just about Lorraine. This wasn't just about taking him out. They had been watching him long before that. And he needed to know why. Nathan had spent his life being the one in control. But now, for the first time, he felt like he had missed something. Something big. Tate's voice was smooth, amused. "You were never just a random husband, Cole. Lorraine was sent to you for a reason." Nathan's pulse slowed. Every nerve in his body sharpened. Sent to him. Not a coincidence. Not bad luck. Planned. Tate continued, his voice dripping with superiority. "You were too good, Cole. Too skilled. Too perfect to let slip away." Nathan stilled. His past flashed in front of him. The missions. The cover-ups. The assignments that never made it to official records. They had been testing him. Watching. And Lorraine? She was never the main player. She was his handler. Nathan exhaled slowly. "You wanted to recruit me." Tate chuckled. "We still do." Nathan's fingers curled into fists. "You tried to kill me," he murmured. Tate's voice didn't waver. "And you survived. That's why we still want you." Nathan closed his eyes. A long, slow exhale. Now he understood. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about making sure these men never did this to anyone else again. Tate sighed dramatically. "You should come in, Cole. Have a conversation. Think about your future." Nathan opened his eyes, his voice dangerously calm. "I already have." Then he hung up. And just like that, he chose his side. He was going to burn them all down. Nathan Cole never planned on becoming a one-man war. But some men don't get a choice. Tate thought he could manipulate him. Control him. But they made the mistake of forgetting who he was. A predator. A strategist. And the last person they should have underestimated. Nathan picked up his phone. Dialed Silas Kane. The ex-CIA ghost answered after one ring. "This is fast even for you." Nathan's voice was steady. Deadly. "I need weapons." Silas laughed. "Ah, so it's that kind of job." Nathan stared out at the city skyline. "No," he murmured. "It's a war." Silas exhaled. "Jesus, Cole. You really can't walk away, can you?" Nathan smirked. "Not yet." Silas hummed. "All right. I'll set it up. But you know how this ends, right?" Nathan stepped out into the cold night. Unshaken. Unafraid. "Yeah," he murmured. "With me winning." And just like that, the final war began. Nathan Cole had never been a man who played by the rules. And now, there were no rules left to play by. He had spent years being a ghost, tracking, hunting, eliminating threats. But this time he wasn't just cleaning up loose ends. This time he was going to burn the entire system to the ground. Silas Kane met him at an old safe house on the outskirts of Denver. A dimly lit room, a table stacked with weapons, burner phones, encrypted laptops. Everything Nathan needed to go to war. Silas leaned against the table, arms crossed. "You sure about this?" Nathan didn't hesitate. "They won't stop coming." Silas smirked. "Yeah, but you're about to do something that makes you public enemy number one." Nathan grabbed a suppressed pistol, checked the magazine, and slid it into his holster. "I was already dead," he muttered. "Now, I'm just returning the favor." Silas chuckled, shaking his head. "Damn. You really are a stubborn bastard. Nathan didn't respond. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was justice. He pulled out a USB drive and slid it across the table. This has everything on Tate and his organization. I need it leaked. Silas whistled. That's a nuclear bomb, Cole? Nathan smirked. Then let's watch the fallout. The first domino fell at 2:32 a.m. Nathan's files, *** containing decades of corruption, assassinations, backroom deals, *** hit the public like an earthquake. Major news agencies exploded with the information. Anonymous leaks. Untraceable sources. Tate's name was everywhere. And just like that, the wolves turned on each other. Senators. Business moguls. Criminal syndicates. Everyone trying to cover their own tracks. Nathan watched it unfold from a distance, a faint smirk on his lips. He knew what would happen next. Tate wouldn't run. Men like him never did. He would try to silence the problem. Which meant Nathan didn't have to find him. Tate would come to him. Nathan sat in the back of an abandoned building, waiting. His gun rested on the table. A sniper rifle by the window. Tripwires set at the only two entrances. Because he knew they were coming. The men Tate would send wouldn't be ordinary killers. They'd be professionals. But so was he. At exactly 4:16 a.m. he heard them. Boots. 5 men. Tactical movement. Military precision. Nathan exhaled. They thought they were hunting him. They had no idea they were already dead. The first tripwire went off, a small explosive that sent 2 of them flying back. The moment the others reacted, Nathan moved. A single shot. 1 down. He rolled to cover. 2 more shots. Another body dropped. The last one tried to run. Nathan caught him by the collar, slammed him into the wall. Pressed the gun under his jaw. Where's Tate? The man struggled, panicked, but Nathan wasn't in the mood for mercy. He twisted his wrist. Bone snapped. The man screamed. Where's Tate? The man gasped. In Mexico, safe house, near the border. Nathan's smirk was cold. Calculated. Good, he murmured. Then he pulled the trigger. The body slumped to the floor. Nathan stepped over him, grabbed his bag and walked out. One last job. One last target. And then it was over. The safe house was deep in the Mexican desert. Nathan had been driving for hours, the hot air pressing against his skin through the open window. No music. No distractions. Just the road. The final road. He knew this feeling. The wait before a final mission. Except this time there was no agency backing him. No orders. No backup. Just him and the man who had orchestrated everything. Tate thought he could hide. But men like Tate didn't hide forever. Nathan parked half a mile away, climbing out of the car. Desert sand crunched under his boots. He strapped his gun to his side, adjusted his gear and moved toward the compound. It was heavily guarded. Not surprising. Nathan scanned the perimeter. For men. Armed. Trained. But they weren't here for war. They were here to protect a coward. Nathan exhaled. Then he moved. The first man didn't hear him until it was too late. Nathan's knife slid under his ribs, silencing him before he could speak. 1 down. The second turned. A suppressed bullet ended him before he could react. 2 left. Nathan threw a small flashbang into the compound. The bright explosion stunned the remaining guards. By the time they recovered, Nathan was already on them. Gunfire cracked through the air. And then silence. Nathan stepped over the bodies and into the safe house. Inside, Tate was waiting. And he was smiling. Nathan closed the door behind him, gun steady in his grip. Tate sat at a wooden table, completely at ease. A glass of whiskey in front of him. No guards. No backup. He knew this was the end. You look tired, Cole, Tate said, swirling his drink. Been a long road, hasn't it? Nathan didn't respond. Tate smirked. I suppose this is where you put a bullet in me and call it justice? Nathan stepped closer. You think this is a game? Tate exhaled. It's always a game. And the ones who play it best? They survive. He tilted his head. Just like you did. Nathan's grip on the gun didn't waver. Tate leaned forward. I told you before, you could have joined us. We would have made you unstoppable. Nathan's jaw clenched. I was never one of you. Tate smiled. But Lorraine was. Nathan froze. Tate's smirk widened. She knew everything, Nathan. She was never a pawn. She was my partner. Nathan's chest tightened. It had always been deeper than just an affair. Lorraine hadn't just been a weapon Tate used. She had been a willing part of it. Nathan exhaled slowly. It didn't matter. Tate chuckled. You still don't get it, do you? He gestured around. You think killing me will change anything? There's always another man in the chair. Nathan stared at him. Then he lowered his gun. Tate raised an eyebrow. See? You finally understand. Nathan took a step forward. No. Then in one swift movement, he grabbed Tate by the throat. The glass shattered. Tate choked, eyes widening as Nathan slammed him against the table. You're not dying fast, Nathan murmured. You're dying my way. Tate gasped, clawing at Nathan's grip. You can't stop it. Nathan squeezed harder. Watch me. Tate's face turned red, then purple. His struggles grew weaker. Nathan stared into his eyes. Cold. Unforgiving. Then Tate went still. Nathan exhaled. Released him. The body collapsed to the floor. And just like that, it was over. Nathan stood there for a long moment, listening to the silence. Tate was gone. The organization was exposed, burned from the inside. There would always be men like him, but Nathan had done enough. This war? It was finished. He turned, walking out of the safe house, stepping into the cold desert air. Breathing for the first time in what felt like years. No ghosts. No chains. Just freedom. Nathan climbed into his car and started the engine. No hesitation. No looking back. And as he drove away, Nathan Cole disappeared. Because some men don't need a happy ending. Some men just need a way out. The desert stretched endlessly before him, an open road leading to nowhere and everywhere at once. Nathan Cole had spent his life chasing ghosts. Now, he was finally becoming one. The weight in his chest wasn't pain anymore. It wasn't anger or vengeance or regret. It was peace. For the first time in years, he wasn't planning his next move. Wasn't watching his back. Wasn't hunting or being hunted. He had done what needed to be done. Lorraine? Gone. Vince? Forgotten in a prison cell. Ellison's empire? Reduced to ashes. Tate? Dead by his own arrogance. The world would keep turning. But Nathan wouldn't be in it. He reached into his jacket, pulling out the last piece of his past. A worn photograph of himself from a life before everything fell apart. Before Lorraine. Before betrayal. Before the war. He let it slip between his fingers, watched as the wind carried it away into the desert. No more ghosts. No more past. Just the road. Nathan pressed down on the gas pedal. And as the dust swallowed his car, he disappeared for good. The screen fades to black. The story is over. Or is it? Because here's the thing, men like Nathan Cole? They don't just vanish. So the question remains. Where do you think he went? Did he start over, living under a new name somewhere far away? Or is he still out there watching, waiting, hunting? And more importantly, if you were in his place, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments below. Where are you watching from? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because the next thriller is going to be even crazier. Until then, stay sharp. Stay ready. Because you never know who's watching. See you in the next one. The end.